Caleb Williams and the 2025 Chicago Bears have flipped a switch. They entered Thanksgiving week in a position that even the most optimistic Bears fan would have felt was unlikely entering the season, sitting pretty on top of the NFC North. Caleb Williams is cooking, his rookie playmakers are popping up with big plays every week, and Ben Johnson is proving to be even better than advertised. Finally, after a frustrating rookie season, it is pretty difficult to not be completely obsessed with how Caleb Williams plays football. The hype was always sky high for Caleb Williams. In this day and age, every NFL team is looking for a quarterback who can combine creativity with elite arm talent to make magic happen week in, week out. And Williams certainly looked like he fit the bill.
This is a special arm, the way he could throw spirals, the different areas and platforms he could throw off of. Right, I do believe this is the closest thing we've seen to Mahomes coming out.
He earned the generational label for his efforts in college, which were highlighted by a 4,537-yard, 42-touchdown season in 2022. This was his first year with the USC Trojans, and it was good enough to win him the Heisman Trophy, sticking him on the radar for first overall pick contention after just 2 years of college ball. His ability to make outrageous throws from all sorts of platforms and with all sorts of arm angles absolutely fit into the truly rare category. It is never fair to compare somebody to Patrick Mahomes, but with Williams, it certainly made sense, at least for certain aspects of his game. Whilst he did fit into the generational prospect category, his profile wasn't without flaws. He had a tendency to hold on to the ball for too long and could be too aggressive at times. He could get away with this in college when his talent and athleticism was such a unique advantage. But this is the kind of thing that can get you in trouble in the NFL. And unfortunately, it did, with Caleb being sacked 68 times as a rookie. That's tied for the third most in a season in NFL history. Obviously, sack numbers that high aren't the quarterback's fault alone, and Williams was certainly not the only person to blame for his underwhelming start to life as a pro. He was operating behind a truly dismal Chicago Bears offensive line, and the firing of offensive coordinator Shane Waldron and head coach Matt Eberflus tell the story of an organization in complete dysfunction. Still, Caleb was able to put together a solid enough season with 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, adding on 489 yards on the ground. That did fall well below the expectations that come with being a generational prospect, but thankfully, Chicago found the perfect man to steady the ship and get the best out of their quarterback. Ben Johnson, the hottest coach on the market, was that guy. It says a lot about Caleb Williams' skill set that Johnson wanted this job. He could have gone anywhere, but he chose one of the most downtrodden franchises situated in the toughest division in football. I think it's fair to say that he likes what he has seen from Caleb and figured the two of them could work wonders together. And to be honest, the very early returns were good. Williams was perfect on the opening drive of the season, completing every one of his pass attempts before scrambling for a touchdown to open the season with a bang. This was it, the Caleb Williams we had all been waiting to see, flawlessly executing a well-oiled machine of an offense masterminded by Ben Johnson. Or so we thought. Things did go downhill after that drive, with Caleb and his Bears collapsing late to give up what should have been an easy win to Minnesota before getting destroyed in Week 2 by the Detroit Lions. Maybe this was going to be just like every other year for the Chicago Bears. Optimism over the offseason, and heartbreak in the regular season. And you bet the critics enjoyed taking their shots.
I've watched Penix. I would make a bet now that he can play. I've watched J.J. McCarthy to some degree, and it helps that he has Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, but he'll be able to play. Bo Nix can play. Jaden's a star. Drake May doesn't have a ton of pocket presence, but again, today, he moves the chains. I don't think he's great. I think he needs another year. I mean, that's what they said about Drake May when he came in. He is unrefined, but it is very possible from what I've seen, and it's not close. We're going to have 5 hits and 1 miss, and the number 1 guy is going to be the worst quarterback in the class.
I think we can all agree that take aged like milk, because ever since that loss to Detroit, the Chicago Bears have been a different beast. They won their next 2 games to go into the bye 2-2. Then, after the bye, they became one of the best offenses in the NFL, winning 6 of the next 7 games to enter Thanksgiving with an 8-3 record. This was good enough to stick them on top of the NFC North. The run game has erupted, leading to 142.3 rushing yards per game, which ranks second in the NFL. And Caleb Williams is certainly doing his bit as well, racking up 2,568 yards and 16 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions over his first 11 games of the season. The elite arm talent that we were expecting to see has been on full display, but before we get on to that, we need to discuss another element of his game, which was an underrated aspect of his draft profile. Like Peyton Manning said on his Manning cast after Caleb's rushing touchdown to open the season, he has incredible athleticism, and it's great to see him using it. After posting no rushing touchdowns as a rookie, he has 3 this year, including a clutch game winner against the Giants. From the moment he sets off, it looks like Caleb is going to struggle to even just get the first down. But he just keeps going. One by one, he takes defenders out of the play with his speed, eventually getting into the end zone without really being touched. This speed has been on display all season. He always seems to beat his man to the edge, picking up crucial yardage when his team needs it most. This also happens to be one of the traits that makes Mahomes so special, with him always seeming to find the gut-wrenching scramble at the most important moments. This rushing ability was never a huge part of Caleb's draft profile, but it's clear that he has much more speed and acceleration than people generally give him credit for. As a result, he is a legitimate dual-threat quarterback, pairing this impressive speed with his outrageous arm talent to make sure that defenses have to cover all bases on every play. But obviously, Caleb didn't get selected first overall because of his ability as a runner. He was selected first overall because of his arm talent, and we have already seen several examples of how good that is at the pro level. He has honestly made some of the most jaw-dropping passes over the first 2 years of his career so far, showing off obscene arm power while running at full pace. These are the high-end flashes that we have always known were there. The problem was, particularly as a rookie, there wasn't enough consistency around that to produce reliable, game-winning football. Thankfully, in 2025, under Ben Johnson, those fundamentals are beginning to appear in his game on a much more consistent basis, albeit with there still being some room for improvement.
Is continuing to make a lot of plays that are there in front of him. I still fighting the battle. That there's times where, I just wish he would kind of play the play in front of him and not go off script as much and start running around and doing all of his spins and just play the game. But you have to understand that's going to be a process, and we've continued to talk about it. It's fighting the battle of what he's always done to what Ben wants him to do, and I think there's progress every week, and the offense just continues, in my opinion, to evolve and become a pro offense that can do a lot of different things, and then they're finding ways to win along that process, and that to me is what it's all about.
Kurt Warner, who knows a thing or two about playing the quarterback position, highlighted something very important there. This is all part of a process. Caleb Williams' rookie season was such a mess that his second year was almost like going back to square one, particularly when you consider just how complex Ben Johnson's offense is. It is a completely different playbook to what Caleb had as a rookie, with so many more moving parts for him and his teammates to be aware of. Therefore, we shouldn't be expecting to see the finished product in this 2025 season. Remember, Josh Allen was still completing under 60% of his passes as a sophomore and looked miles away from the MVP that we see today. The ultimate priority for this 2025 season for Chicago was seeing some of the improvements that Kurt Warner was discussing in that interview, and there's no doubt that we are indeed seeing them. In Week 12, against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that just dismantled a supremely talented Cincinnati Bengals offense, Caleb looked brilliant. He made so many timing-based, in-structure throws, hitting his back foot and pulling the trigger with confidence. Against the likes of TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey, Kyle Duggar, and more, Caleb had 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions to secure the 31-28 win. It was the third game this season he has posted a passer rating over 100, and his second time in 4 games. That tells the story of a quarterback who really is finding his footing and gaining confidence in Ben Johnson's offense. Like I said, these improvements and overall refinement of his fundamentals are the priority for this season. They're more important than even the wins and losses. Everybody already knew that Caleb could dazzle with his rare traits. We just needed to see him play more consistently and prove that he could operate an offense and win games. Well, as things stand, we are certainly seeing that from Caleb. showing signs of being a better quarterback in structure, making more plays with his legs, and still delivering those obscene high-end plays. And he's doing this all while significantly reducing the number of sacks that he's taking, and giving up just 4 interceptions through the first 11 games of the season. As a result, Chicago have already beaten their preseason win-loss over-under, with 8 of them by Thanksgiving. Provided the wheels don't fully fall off now, it's hard to see this first year of the Ben Johnson tenure being considered anything other than a huge success. Caleb looks like a much improved quarterback. The locker room now knows how to win games again, and let's be honest, these Bears are completely exceeding expectations. Caleb Williams is a huge reason why. Watching him improve each week has got to be so exciting for Bears fans, with his combination of arm talent and rushing ability suggesting he has what it takes to become one of the league's best dual-threat quarterbacks. He's without a doubt one of the most interesting players in the league at the moment as he tries to become the savior that the Chicago Bears organization has been looking for decades. With that in mind, it is difficult to not be obsessed with how Caleb Williams is playing football right now. The question is, how high do you think his ceiling is with Ben Johnson? Let us know in the comments.